We have never really asked anything of them. You know, they'll say they sent some troops to Afghanistan or this or that. And they did. They stayed a little back, a little off the front line.
457 British soldiers lost their lives in Afghanistan.
Absolute insult is an insult to 457 families who lost someone in Afghanistan. How dare he say we weren't on the front line?
Well, Donald Trump decided to take a swing at Britain's soldiers who fought in Afghanistan, suggesting that non-US NATO troops, quote, stayed off the front lines.
So I think, but I've always said, will they be there if we haven't needed them? And that's really the ultimate test. And I'm not sure of that. I know that we would have been there or we would be there, but will they be there? And let's hope that that never happens. We've never needed them. We have never really asked anything of them. You know, they'll say they sent some troops to Afghanistan or this or that. And they did. They stayed a little back, a little off the front lines. But we've been very good to Europe and to many other countries. And, you know, now under my administration, that began because we had a very successful first term. That began then, but it has to be a two-way street.
And the response from the UK was basically, as we say in Scotland, what are you talking about? Especially coming from Captain Bone Spurs himself.
He said that, we've come to Europe's aid in the past, but I doubt whether European countries would come to our aid. Well, we did in 2001, and indeed 467 British servicemen and women lost their lives in Afghanistan. Let's also point out that there are, I think, 43 Danish soldiers who lost their lives in Afghanistan. Actually, a higher proportion, if you look at it per 100,000 of population, than either Britain or, I think, indeed the United States lost in Afghanistan. So it's so insulting when he comes out with these things, isn't it? And so Mark will also credit him for putting him right on that.
See, Trump has made many obscene comments, most of them intended to insult the people he was actually elected to serve, but he decided to do everything possible to further alienate our allies, claiming that NATO troops, particularly British forces, stayed a little off the front lines during the Afghanistan war. Now, not only is this completely incorrect, it's very insulting, obviously, because the UK's Afghanistan involvement wasn't symbolic at all. It was major. Britain deployed over 150,000 personnel across the conflict, and more than 450 UK service members were killed, with many more wounded or left with lasting physical and psychological injuries as a result. Many of those who fought in said war or loved ones who lost family members as a result took to the British airwaves this week to voice their rightful disgust at the US president.
It really does set you back a little bit. I think it's so disrespectful, you know, the 457 guys who paid the ultimate sacrifice. To them, their families, their mums, dads, girlfriends, wives, children, you know, so disrespectful to them. We were all out on the front line. You know, I remember working with some American soldiers in an EOD team. So if they were on the front line and we were stood next to them, you know, clearly we were on the front line as well. And
well, it's a real shame to hear that. The only time NATO has ever enacted Article 5 was